it's Halloween.
Yeah.
Halloween?
Halloween?
No, it's not Halloween. It's Valentine's.
Living in a different year. It was Valentine's.
It was Valentine's.
It was Valentine's. Valentine's Day.
And I feel like the Valentine's cinematic event of the year was Wuthering Heights.
It was a spectacle.
Which I have not seen.
Yeah. Do you think you will see it? Will you watch it?
I think at some point.
Yeah.
But especially with how expensive going to the movies is, I don't think I'm going to watch it in theaters.
Yeah, no.
So I don't mind spoilers.
Yeah, okay.
That's fine. But you have, so...
I have seen it, yeah. Safe to say I didn't really like it. It's probably her best film.
Who is this?
Emerald Fennell.
Oh, right.
Who did like Saltburn and stuff.
Well, the bar
is so low. That's the thing. Yeah. So because the bar is so low, it is her best film, but only because she's adapting from such a great novel.
Yeah.
But it's so weird because she'll have like beautiful lines from the novel, and then she'll like throw in like lines that she's written, and the contrast between these like beautifully written lines and then her like dribbles of rubbish is just like so jarring.
How does it? Because I going into it, well, not going into it from a distance.
Yeah.
I see a lot of comparisons between that and Marie Antoinette. Do you see it or not really?
I think honestly, it seems like she was almost going for like a Peter Greenaway kind of vibe of like really lavish sets and things and like beautiful gowns, but like none of it is in favor or service of anything. None of it has any like deeper meaning. Yeah. So it just feels like so flat. It's just like okay, and also it's not that beautiful like in terms of the costumes and stuff. Like the dresses are straight up ugly and like just weird. Yeah. Some of the sets are interesting, but also just like so on the nose, and like it's depressing because like clearly all the people that worked on it think it's so good, and like I was actually curious today. I wanted to read the script for Saltburn to see like what it looked like on the page, and it's a terrible script.
Really?
And it's so funny because all these people talk about it like, oh wow, like I was so pulled in from the script, like her writing's amazing. And I was reading it and I was like,
where?
How could anyone fall for this? I was really quite surprised. Like, yeah. So it's
how's the acting in it?
The books. Honestly, Alison Oliver's the best part of the film in terms of performances. I thought Margot Robbie was really bad.
I feel like
really
they don't have that much to work with. Her and Jacob.
Yeah, and it's also because like she rewrites Margot Robbie's character Kathy in a really strange way. She rewrites her to be this like really snobby like posh person that's basically like looking down on everyone and just like throwing tantrums and things don't go her way. And it's very one note. She's just kind of like like that.
I feel like in my mind I sometimes mix up Wuthering Heights and Pride and Prejudice. Just in terms of like the story. Yeah. And I wonder if there's some of that going on. Because yeah, as you said, they're different characters.
Yeah.
Different people.
Pride and Prejudice is so good though.
Yeah, it's quite good.
Oh, I love it so much.
Yeah. I actually haven't seen the movie though. I read the book.
Oh wow.
But I actually haven't seen the movie.
You would really like the film, I think.
Yeah.
That's one that we should do at like a sleepover and watch together. Because I think it's so fun to watch with other people.
I haven't also, in the similar vibe, I haven't seen Atonement.
I have seen Atonement.
Yeah? Do you like it?
I think I saw it when I was a teenager, so I don't think I fully like...
Kind of like grasp.
Yeah, I don't think nothing about it really stayed with me apart from the sex scenes. I remember watching those as a 15-year-old and I was like...
What's going on?
Woof. But apart from that, beautiful gowns. I remember beautiful gowns, beautiful sex scenes.
Anyway, regardless of us making plans on the pod.
Oh yeah, sorry.
we should talk about the theme for today and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm guessing you should start with this one.
Sure. Yeah. So the theme of this episode, kind of in time for like Valentine's celebrations, is infatuation.
Ooh, she's in love.
Yeah. So we're talking about those feelings of being so obsessed and unhealthily obsessed by someone. So yeah, we've both got some really interesting films.
Yeah. Should you go ahead?
Yeah, sure. So I will set my timer.
Yeah.
So the film I have chosen is Open Hearts, directed by Suzanne Bier, and it was it was quite an early film in the like Dogma kind of film movement.
Was it? Because it was in 2002, right?
Yeah, that's still fairly early on, because I think it began in like late 90s.
Didn't it start in 95?
Oh, maybe it did. Yeah.
Regardless.
Still, yeah, kind of early 2000s, so still fairly like new-ish into the
definitely
movement.
new into digital cinema.
Yes, definitely. So it's a really, really, really crushing film. Mads Mikkelsen is starring. It's quite an interesting take on the Dogma manifesto, because she does like break some of the rules.
Yeah.
And some people were like really against that at the time, but I think she does it in a really... I think she's still being authentic to the spirit of Dogma, but she's still kind of adding some bits in, like there's non-diegetic music and sound. Yeah. She has like fake blood as a prop, which you're not allowed. I feel like those are the main rules.
There's also certain inserts when characters are like thinking about something.
Oh yeah.
Like a certain body part. There's also a dream sequence.
Yeah.
Very brief.
Yeah, there is.
Very subtle.
Yes.
But still a dream sequence.
That's true, yeah. But yeah, she has this almost like super kind of... It's supposed to look like kind of Super 8 type footage that's like inserted at like specific
Which maybe
moments.
It is.
Yeah, it could be. I'm not too sure actually. But yeah, the plot is kind of very soap opera-y sounding, because it's very dramatic. But it's basically about this man and his wife. They're like very happy together. They have 3 kids. They live in Denmark. And then one day... his wife is driving along in a car, and then she accidentally hits this man. And this man turns out to be somebody that's just been engaged to the love of his life. He's in this really, really passionate relationship with this woman. And after he's hit by a car, he becomes paralyzed and he can no longer walk. And obviously his fiancée is completely devastated. And the main kind of guy called Niels, who's played by Mads Mikkelsen, he starts comforting the fiance of the victim, because she's like, we were going to start spending our whole life together and now it's ruined. He's comforting her because he works at the hospital and he's a surgeon, and then the two of them end up forming their own kind of relationship.
Illicit affair.
Very illicit affair. He's cheating obviously because he's married, and he's seeing this much younger woman. She's like 25 years old, and she's like in a really weird emotional place because her fiance, who she still loves very much, is in the hospital. He's like so angry about what's happened to him. He doesn't want to speak to her. He's paralyzed, so she knows that their relationship is going to be forever changed. And she's kind of just like seeking comfort and seeing this surgeon, just probably because she needs comfort and a distraction from what's happened. And the whole film is just about the emotional fallout of this affair and what happens. And yeah, Mads Mikkelsen's character is so desperately infatuated by her, and she isn't. And that's kind of the main issue, because spoiler alert, he ends up leaving his family and his kids to be with her. And then she's actually like, sorry, I actually don't want to be with you. I want to be with my fiancé.
Because he seems less angry now.
Yeah, he's
so
kind of
we're
gets
gonna
a bit better
work on it.
Yeah, so she's like, I'm going to stick with him. And then the film ends with Mads Mikkelsen just kind of life in tatters, life in ruins. The girl that he was infatuated by, she's back with her fiancé. And he's just left in a really bad situation, and he's destroyed everything.
Although he also they don't end up together.
Who?
The girl and Joaquin.
Oh yeah, the fiance. Yeah.
The fiance, yeah.
They end up at the end kind of separated.
For the whole movie, he keeps pushing her away, and then at the end, even though they make peace and he lets her in somewhat, he still says we don't belong together right now.
Yeah. Which is very sad, because the film kind of ends on the note of you think that maybe she will just get back with Mads Mikkelsen's character as a kind of consolation prize. And that's kind of what the whole film to me is about. It's about people as consolation prizes in relationships. And it's so rough, because it's kind of saying Susanne Bier has this very cynical outlook on love, where she's kind of implying that in all relationships there's one person that's reaching and one person that's settling.
Yeah.
And in Mads Mikkelsen's relationship, he was the one that was settling, and then he meets this younger woman that he's reaching for, but she's settling for him because she's reaching for this guy that's now paralyzed. And then at the end you realise that this young woman is now going to settle for Mads Mikkelsen because the person she was reaching for is now not wanting to be with her because he's paralyzed. It's the whole thing. But it's a very complicated, very heartbreaking film. One of my favourite performances ever from Mads Mikkelsen.
Yeah.
He is truly
Which one is your favorite?
devastating. Which character or
which performance of Mads Mikkelsen is your favorite? Because I ask what you think about it. I ask because it was very hard for me to find this film, first of all. Like just like a copy of it to watch was so hard.
Yeah.
I ended up watching it on Facebook.
What?
Yeah. On a Mads Mikkelsen fan group.
Wow.
That's where I was able to find it.
Deep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the subtitles were in Spanish, which thankfully I know.
Classic.
But it was a wild ride to get it. But which one is your favorite Mads Mikkelsen performance?
This is definitely one of them. For a while I had beef with Mads Mikkelsen's agent. We were emailing back and forth.
I remember that, yeah.
Eventually he was like, don't contact us again. But I initially got in contact with him because I was like, Open Hearts is my favourite performance of his. But I think also I do love his performance in, what's the one he did where he plays like a guy that's accused of sexually abusing a child?
The Hunt?
The Hunt.
Yeah.
That and The Hunt.
Yeah, The Hunt.
Oh, The Hunt. Yeah. The Huzz. Yeah, he's just really... He's got fantastic... Let me turn this off. Fantastic eye acting.
Yeah.
He can say
good.
Everything through his eyes.
Really good face performance.
Very good face performance. Very good facial movements.
He's in Death Stranding.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow, okay. He's cashing in the big kind of commercial checks at the moment. He hasn't done an independent film in yonks.
Yeah, I wonder what his tax
Yeah.
situation is
What's
like.
his tax bracket?
Yeah.
If his financials are looking good.
Yeah. Me and my friend from film school, every time like Kenneth Branagh would make like Branagh? Yeah. Would make like a commercial film, they'd be like, he needed a new fridge.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, sure.
No, but you really can tell with some people, you're like, oh, you were struggling with some of your Klarna payments, weren't you?
Klarna got you, girl.
Klarna will come for us all. That's what I'm saying. But yeah, that's the film. Cool. I'll set a timer and you can. Whoops, so sorry.
Breaks my tablet.
Breaking your things, yeah.
Before we start with mine, I just want to quickly talk about some things that you said. I find it very interesting that in your framing of the movie, Niels is the main character, but I think it's the girl. Because we see the whole movie from her perspective. Well, no, not the whole movie. Yeah. There's a lot of parts that are from his perspective. Yeah. But we start and finish the movie with her. So I find it interesting. Why do you think he's a more central character than her?
Honestly, I think so. But now that I think about it, I don't know if there is a main character because I feel like the way it's filmed, the camera itself is like the character that you're seeing the perspective from, and it's kind of this quite like objective, blunt, like look how ridiculous this and heartbreaking this situation is. But I do think it is quite aligned with his perspective of somebody that experiences both aspects of the pain and the highs and lows of reaching and settling. And I do think at the beginning he's portrayed as someone that's someone of moral character, and he's portrayed as very good. You know, he's speaking to this friend who's like cheated, and he's kind of like implying that he doesn't agree with it. And then eventually he ends up doing the same thing. So I think it's kind of, he does a full kind of morality pivot, whereas her character doesn't really. She kind of stays fairly solid in like her beliefs, and
if anything, she does like a little emotional tourism.
Yes.
And then she returns home.
Yeah. And then she goes back.
Yeah.
She got a worker's visa, and then she
said,
and then she quit. But yeah, so that's how I see it.
All right, cool. We can talk about more about it.
Yeah, we'll get more into that.
Laters.
Shall I start your timer and you can?
Yep.
Yep. There you go.
The movie I chose is This Is War, starring Tom Hardy, Reese Witherspoon, and Chris Pine. No, I'm kidding.
For legal purposes, that is a joke.
No, that's a joke. Although we should maybe make an episode about pure rom-com.
Oh my god!
I think that'd be interesting. Maybe I wouldn't pick that one, but I would pick a rom-com. Anyway, I chose one of my favorite movies. It's just so much fun. I love it a lot. It's Decision to Leave. Incision on a Leaf.
Yeah.
By is it Park?
Park Chan-wook.
Park Chan-wook, yeah. Beautiful. I've been a fan of his since The Handmaiden. I enjoyed his films before that, but ever since The Handmaiden, I'm just like, whatever you put on my plate, I will eat. And I will enjoy it. We should talk about No Other Choice some other time.
Yeah.
Right? Plenty to say. Love that movie as well. But anyway, yeah. I love this movie. I think I watched it maybe twice in the cinema when it came out. And ever since, I've seen it like 3 or 4 times. Flipping love it.
Wow.
Most recently, I was getting a tattoo on my leg, and it's pretty big. And I just had the movie on my phone while they were tattooing me, and I was just like, oh my god, the drama. High-key recommend if you're like sitting for a long time for a tattoo and you don't want to be thinking of the pain, just put like a thriller on.
Decision to Leave.
Yeah, Decision to Leave. You know, it'll get the job done, and you're gonna have a great time. Yeah. So I watched it and I loved it. Yeah, it's about. I don't want to give too many plot details away. In fact,
dense film.
It's a dense film, and I think we shouldn't talk about the ending.
Yeah.
Maybe we will. Maybe we'll go back on that word, but for now, let's avoid the ending.
Yeah. Okay.
But this story is about a guy who's a detective, and there's a murder / death. They're investigating what happened to this guy, and the investigation leads to this guy's wife. And they start to unravel the evidence around her because she's a suspect, but at the same time, I mean, they want to know what the situation is with her. And this detective begins to have like mad crush on her, just like insane.
Yeah,
he starts falling for her hard, and also like he doesn't. It's unprofessional, not only in the sense of like a detective getting feelings for a suspect, but also like he fully lets her into his life to see how he lives and his situation. And also he is married, right? But wife lives out of the city. Yeah. So he has an apartment in the city. So they kind of like almost instantly begin this like the life together, right?
Yeah.
It's like they're lesbians. It's crazy.
Yeah, it moves quick. Yeah.
They have this like what do you call it? Domestic? Yeah. This domestic vibe right away.
He's giving her this expensive sushi. He's cooking for her
right away, and everyone else in the precinct is like, "What's going on?" And I will delve a little into spoiler territory, but that's because it's kind of important to talk about the structure of the movie. Around halfway, they decide that this is not working at all, that this is detrimental to both of them. There's this quote where he feels like manipulated by her and
shattered.
He says like, I've been shattered. And she's Chinese. The movie's Korean. She's Chinese, and she doesn't fully understand all the words that people say. She says the wrong words sometimes. So she kind of like fixates on that, on being shattered, and they part ways. Then there's some time jump. It's 3 something.
It's like a year, isn't it?
Either 3 years or 3 months or something like that.
Yeah.
Right? There's a time jump. And he's moved back out of the city in with his wife. And they live in a small town. And he's like recovering from that huge ordeal that the whole investigation was. And suddenly she's back. And now the person who's crushing is her. So it's like opposite, trajectories. He's severely infatuated for the first half of the movie, and then for the second, it's her. And there's another murder case, and she's a suspect as well. So he starts thinking like, oh my god, this woman is killing people just so that she can be with me. And it's crazy. It goes off. I think I'm going to leave the plot there.
Yeah, that's a good place to
because there's still, even though I've said a lot, there's still plenty more. The movie is full of twists and turns. I mean, if you've seen The Handmaiden, you know. Every other scene there's a plot twist. Yeah. It's kind of ridiculous. It's kind of campy in a way that I really enjoy.
Yeah.
The movie's very camp, very very camp, and in a similar way to Open Hearts, it's kind of like the plot itself kind of like indulges in how ridiculous it is, and the characters like pour their hearts out, and it's very dramatic. But it does show how kind of this infatuation leads people to just act in completely irrational ways, which is very nicely juxtaposed with the profession of being a detective, where what you have to do is think everything methodically. And you do get to see it because the movie's kind of like split in two. You do get to see how for the first half, where it's kind of like him in love, he also approaches love methodically. He learns everything about her, and he like watches her. It's like surveillance a little bit, and how he approaches her. And then for the second half, it's a lot more like emotional and like how she perceives love, even though the protagonist is still him, but she perceives love, and there's like these like emotionally ambivalent scenes where you don't really know what the characters are saying or what they're doing. And then, yeah, it culminates in an incredible ending, which I'm going to leave for you to discover.
Yeah.
I think that's my time. Let's see.
Okay.
How close was I?
25 seconds.
Whoop.
Well done. Okay.
So yeah, before we kind of like start comparing or whatever,
yeah,
what do you think of Decision to Leave?
Well, I was really glad that you chose this actually, because the first time I watched it, I didn't quite grasp, like it didn't really quite get to me, you know? Like I remember thinking like, there's something to this, but like I can't quite see it.
Yeah.
And I heard a lot of people saying that like, it's the kind of film that you need to watch multiple times because like I said, it's so dense. Like
it's quite
and
dense,
it's also quite difficult to follow. Like even if you're like really, you know, fully immersed in it, it does quite often like cut from scenes and it's flipping to something slightly in the future or slightly in the past and like something completely different to what you just saw, and it doesn't always like make that much sense.
Yeah, like the movie in brackets could benefit from a voiceover.
Yeah,
I'm glad it doesn't have one, but certain scenes, as you said, are presented without any context.
Yeah, there's very
so it's up to you to piece it together.
Yeah, so I think first time I struggled with that element of it, and I was like, okay, there's some things I'm missing, so it's not quite like hitting. And then when I watched it again, I was like, oh, I can see why people like this so much, because I understood it more. And I probably will watch it again also now, building on that, because I think there's so many pieces of it that you can pick at. The way that he frames everything, like the editing, his editing
bro,
is
crazy.
Like such beautiful editing.
And there's so many like unnecessary things. I'm not going to say when this happens, but there's an aerial shot of a beach, and there's a wave that comes in, and it makes the profile of a face. That's crazy. It's crazy. Like obviously this is not important. None of the characters comment or even notice, right?
Yeah.
And it's just there for you to maybe notice.
Yeah.
It's crazy, bro.
It's beautiful.
It's crazy.
Yeah. The attention to detail is like next level. But what I really love is the way that he integrates technology into his films, and we've spoken about this before because we've got such a kink for like people that use phones in films,
and I wrote about why.
Yeah, I'm sure you did. But yeah, the way because technology is obviously such a huge part of our lives that you never see people using it in film. People just like erase it because people just don't want to see that element of it, or like it seems boring to just like show someone like texting on their phone or whatever. And like some people do it really cringily where they have the messages like flash up on the screen or like weird, you know. But he does it in such a cool way that like you see someone using a phone and you're like, oh, that looks like the best thing I've ever seen in my life, you know. And
like part of the reason why I have, as you said, like such a kink for people using their phones on screen is because there's such like emotional moments that we're all in pretty frequently when we're on our phones that is like they should be put on screen, so that maybe people in the future, once we don't have phones and we have all chips in our brains or whatever, get to know what life today was like. Because for example, when you're texting someone and they start texting, so you see the little like typing and you're like, oh, should I let them speak first? Should I finish my sentence first? Or when you write something and then you go back to change a couple of words because you're worried about how your message is gonna come across. And there's so many moments like that in the movie. Or like she starts double, triple, quadruple texting him when he's in the middle of saying something, and I'm like, in a conversation, if you're saying something and I repeatedly interrupt you, it's like the same but in text. And it leads to different emotional outcomes. I don't know. I just love
fascinating.
All of stuff like that.
But really interesting how it adds to the infatuation element of the film.
Yeah.
So do you want to talk a bit more about the infatuation between these two characters and the
building a little on what you just said about kind of like the media, the technology and stuff, because she doesn't speak Korean as fluent as he does, and he doesn't speak any Chinese. A lot of their conversations are mediated through technology, either through texting or through translation apps. So I think that's interesting because it often, as anyone who's ever tried any interpretation or translating stuff, it often puts messages into like an ambivalent spirit when you can't quite find the word that something means or something. For example, one of my favorite musicians is Shakira. I love Shakira, and most of it is because in Spanish her lyrics are just like so snappy and meaningful and like clever, and some of her lyrics in English are also pretty good, but in Spanish they're next level. So it's a little bit like that in this movie, where some things that they say kind of like are left lingered. So for example, that feeling of that's the thing he says about feeling shattered is something that she doesn't grasp right away, and she spends the rest of the movie thinking about it and being like, what does it mean, and eventually she incorporates it into herself by the end of the movie. So like it's just I think the usage of, as you said, technology and language is brilliant. But yeah, when it comes to like infatuation, I think this movie kind of like shows the difference between kind of like love and obsession. You know, he at the beginning of the movie, this detective guy is in a marriage with someone who's honestly quite like him. He's quite methodical and intellectual about life, and she is as well, his wife, to the point that she's like, such and such percentage of marriages that don't have sex end up in divorce. Such and such percentage of men that eat turtle shell or whatever experience such increase in sexual desire or whatever, right? She's like quite methodical, so in a way they're like a perfect match.
She's like, we have to have sex once a week so that we live longer lives, and then it cuts to them having sex in the most like methodical, like lifeless way.
So in a way you'd think that they're like quite suited to each other.
Both type A.
But then this woman comes around, this suspect, and she's completely other. You know, she's like fascinating to him because it's in a way that his brain doesn't work like at all, and he can't stop thinking about her. Literally, like he just cannot stop thinking about her. He stalks her, partly because of her job, but partly because he just wants to. There's this really like embarrassing moment where he goes to stalk her and falls asleep in his car, and then the next morning she knocks on the window. She's like, "Good morning." Oh, bro,
it's bad for him.
Cringe.
What do you think draws him to her? Because to be honest, when I was watching it, I got the feeling that the only thing that really attracted him to her was the fact that she's beautiful. Because to be honest, she doesn't seem so polar opposite from him, like in a way that I thought was like noticeably like very different, because she still works with like medicine, you know, she's quite like a methodical person when it comes to, you know, she's like caring for people. The only thing that seemed like so like, oh my god, she's so quirky, she's so different, was the fact that she ate ice cream for dinner, and he's like, god, she's eating ice cream for dinner, you know. But I guess the biggest like, you know, like kind of visualization of their differences is the whole thing of like him being the mountain and her being the sea. But like I didn't really see that many like tangible differences between them, or like reason for him to be attracted to her, besides the fact that she seems a bit younger, maybe a bit more free-spirited and
I think that's
attractive.
It, honestly. I mean, I think it's in a way like, I think her being attractive is super important to their relationship. And it's something that the movie like well and truly like embraces. As I said, it's not the deepest movie of all time, and the characters often comment. I think his partner, not wife, but like detective partner, at one point even confronts him to be like, if this same case was just like some dude, would you even care about it this much? And he's like, yes, I would, but no. So I totally think that you're right, that there isn't that much that other than her attractiveness, but I do think something that's different is how they are in terms of like their inner lives. She's quirky, she's funny, she doesn't mind breaking societal rules. Like she laughs when she finds something funny, even though it's like a serious setting. They're in the middle of a police interview and she's out there giggling, and she
doesn't seem that phased by her husband dying. She's openly like, okay, I'm not really,
he died,
I don't
whatever.
Really care. Yeah.
I think honestly, rather than something being different, is that he can't pin her down, and that's what draws him to her.
Yeah.
You know,
okay.
she's like this wild card, on purpose. She very much is trying to be so, and he finds that like, you know, like, oh, I can't figure you out, like a puzzle.
Yeah, that makes more sense because he is such a methodical person. He clearly likes to have answers and know how to like put things in boxes, but she can't. She's like evading the box. So he's like, damn.
She's like Barbie. She's out of the box.
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I like it in that way, and the relationship I think is interesting. And then for the second half of the movie, she is the one who almost resents his like methodical nature, right? Because he keeps telling her like, you came all this way just to see me, you murdered someone else just to see me, and she's like, oh, that's what you think of me or whatever. And for almost the entirety of the movie, you are left to wonder like, maybe she did, maybe this is all part of her plan. And she also has quite like a sad backstory, and how she got into the country and stuff. So I think there is like a bit of him wanting to be a hero, you know,
definitely,
to be like, oh, this poor lost girl, I need to be the one to rescue her.
The
so
fantasy.
Yeah, definitely.
Which very much relates to Open Hearts.
Yep.
To be honest,
very much so. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. So the Mads Mikkelsen's character of Niles. He's clearly somebody that's like respected, you know, he's a surgeon, he's a father, a husband, he's got 3 kids. He seems to be quite like someone of moral integrity. There's this like scene at the beginning of the film where they're having a dinner party and one of his friends is talking about how like their other male friend cheated on his wife, and he's kind of like, oh, well, like, no wonder, like, have you seen how she looks? Like, she dresses like Henry VIII, you know? It's like really like degrading and like mean. And then he has this other surgeon friend at work who's like constantly bragging about like cheating, and he's always like, no, I wouldn't do that or whatever. And he seems to be like genuinely really in love with his wife. Like they have like a really nice tenderness, and they still seem like very affectionate towards each other, even though they have 3 kids and they've been together a long time. It seems really nice. And then Niles, obviously this younger woman enters his life. She's 25 years old. She's very beautiful, like, you know, young, lots of energy, excitement about the world, very passionate. She's in this very consuming relationship, and she is kind of like the damsel in distress because her fiance gets hit by a car and he becomes like completely immobilized, and
very like emotionally closed off.
Yeah, very like, I don't want to speak to anyone, like you should leave me alone, because he's so angry. And then obviously because for Niles, his wife was the one to hit this lady's fiance, so she feels very guilty about it, and Niles was
Wasn't it his daughter who was driving?
No, his mum was driving the car, but the daughter was the one that kind of sparked the accident.
Gotcha.
She asked her mum to drive faster. So yeah, then Niles is like, okay, don't worry, like I'll keep an eye on this lady and her fiance, like I'll comfort her and check in on her. And he kind of offers his help to her, like, you can call me anytime. And initially you just think he's doing it out of the goodness of his heart because he's like helping his wife, who feels really guilty about having caused this like accident. But slowly it becomes clear that it is this kind of like ego boosting thing of like, oh wow, I'm in the like, you know, proximity to this really beautiful woman, and I'm helping her, and she's vulnerable, and she needs me. She needs me so bad, you know. And the kind of first hint that you get that it isn't this like innocent thing to him is when he's walking through the park with her and going on a walk near the hospital, and they bump into 2 of his friends and they ask like, who is this? And he just clams up and he gets so awkward about it and he can't tell them. And if he felt innocently about this situation, it was just, oh, I'm helping her, then he'd say, oh, it's, you know, it's the wife of my patient or fiance of my patient. But he gets so clammy and strange about it, and he apologizes afterwards because clearly it isn't an innocent situation. He likes being the one to swoop in and help this damsel in distress, and he's gaining something from it because it feeds his ego, and he feels powerful and he feels wanted and needed.
There's a moment where, like, I think also for her, what she is enjoying out of the relationship, even if it's just temporary, is how she can play at being a couple, right? Like a married couple that she wanted to have with Joaquin or whatever. At one point, Joaquin gets some guys, I'm guessing, to get rid of all the furniture in their apartment. And so Mads takes the girl out furniture shopping and buys her a couch. Cecilia buys her a couch and a bed, and it's like they're playing to be a couple.
It's a horrible scene to watch because they're just like in this furniture showroom, and she's clearly just like looking to be distracted, and he's just like really giddy with the power of like, oh, I have money and this young girl doesn't, and I'm going to buy her everything she wants, and I'm going to feel so powerful and like needed and whatever, and like protective over her. And it's a very uncomfortable thing to watch, you know, because later on we find out that like, you know, they can't really afford all that stuff.
Yeah, the wife finds out and she's like, can't afford this.
And it's just very self-destructive and very selfish behavior.
It's given 500 Days of Summer, that scene.
Low-key, yeah.
Where they're kind of buying furniture.
Low-key, yeah. It's so hard to watch. But it's really interesting, I think, the way that his infatuation comes from not necessarily her, but the way that his ego is, you know, like kind of stroked and inflated by being in her presence. And it's funny because it's not like he isn't needed by his family. He has 3 young kids. He's clearly like, he's a provider, he's a father, he works, like, you know, he has good relationships with his kids. But there is something just insatiable, I think, that the film is saying about like the male ego, in the sense that if there is the opportunity for more being presented, or the opportunity for anything that will make you feel more powerful, then these guys are going to take it. You know, even this guy who's presented as being the most respectable, like, you know, reliable husband and father, someone that's like very stable and very good, it's like, oh, if this chance comes along, he's going to take it.
Gonna take it.
And he abandons like intimacy that's been built over years and years for like the quick quick thrill. And this infatuation that really is not founded on anything other than her beauty and the feeling he gets from providing for her.
I agree.
Really gross.
But speaking about male ego, I have to say, I think the movie treats Joaquin's character very unkindly. The fiance who gets hit by the car. So he is like framed as the antagonist because he's kind of a dick. Like, he is 100%.
Behaves horribly afterwards. Like, he's just like horrible to her after he gets hit by the car.
He's horrible to her after he gets hit by a car. In fact, I put it here on my notes. Like, his immediate reaction when he's in the hospital and he gets told his diagnosis, because he can't move from the neck down, right? So his immediate reaction is to push her away. Like, immediately is like, leave me, go away, whatever. She does like stick around for a while, and that's when the dream sequence happens. It's a very simple scene. I'm gonna describe it to you, sorry for little spoilers, but she has a bed next to his like hospital bed, and she just dreams that he reaches out and they hold hands. Oh my god, bro, breaks my heart. It's so sad.
It's horrible.
Well, like a lot of the thing is, like, he's quite angry, right? And I'm like, I get it. I get why he would be so angry. We don't know that much about him, but what we do know is that he studied geography. He's a mountain climber, and I'm like, ever since like I feel like the late 90s, geography has stopped being about making maps and charting mountains or whatever, and more about how people move through the physical world. So he studies that. Like that understanding of. Have you seen Annihilation?
Yeah.
in that movie, it's completely unrelated, right? But in that movie, every single character's perspective of this unknowable thing comes from what they do in their life. And I think about that with every movie that I go and watch. So, like, in this movie, his perspective of the world is informed by how we move through nature, how we move through the world, how we, integrate to the physical world. And then he gets hit by a car, which means that he can't do that freely anymore. Yeah. He can't feed himself. At one point, he tries reading a book, and there's like this voice controlled program, and it's like malfunctioning, so he's just having a rough time. So all of a sudden, this guy is having to reconcile the fact that his way of looking at the world is no longer possible, as well as kind of like find new meaning in life. At one point, like, obviously his first reaction is to be like catastrophizing, to be like, they're gonna have to cut off my legs, they're gonna have, like, my arms are gonna be so weak, and like they're gonna look bad, I'm not even gonna be able to have sex anymore. So like, obviously he's just thinking of like how bad his life is gonna be from now on, and I think that that's like normal for someone in his situation. Like, he literally has to, as a child, I imagine him running around, jumping on the playground, like doing all these like physically literate things, and now he has to find a new sense of life. And like, at one moment she's like, you have to let me do something, which I feel is like a selfish thing of her, of the fiance, to think, because she's like, I need to feel comfortable about your situation, you need to make me feel comfortable. So he's a total dick to her. I'm not saying that she should like stay by his side no matter what, or like that it was wrong of her to seek comfort in someone else. No. I think that's fine. But I also think that he's totally warranted that despair. 100%. Which he eventually grows out of. Yeah. And then by the end of the movie, he even says like, this is not for us, this relationship is not for us, we were just unlucky. Yeah. And it kind of like lets her go in a pretty decent, respectable way, I think. But yeah, for most of the movie, he's just framed as this monster, and like even the nurse snaps at him at one point.
Yeah, they really like, especially the things he says to the nurse, like, because he takes out his anger on everyone around him, but he even starts like saying like really mean things to the nurse, where he's like, you're ugly, like you should take any like male attention you can get, like, but he's like so nasty.
He is quite nasty, and I'm not saying that he's on the right, but
no,
like,
but the film does really go out of its way to kind of like, they're saying that, it's his behaviors that are the cause of this affair, that they're almost like, the film is always implying that he's the one that like brought it all down on himself by behaving this way. And to be honest, like, I don't really think she was justified in cheating. Like, I get that she was seeking comfort, but you can seek comfort in other ways besides like going out and shagging your surgeon. Like, I was kind of like, yeah, girl, that's kind of on you. Like, that's not his fault.
But I do appreciate that, like, that's kind of most of the movie, but then by the end, that is subverted.
Yeah.
Like, he does come to terms with it and finds a new, or even if he doesn't find a new perspective on life, he understands that he has to, and he makes his peace with that. So, like, at first I was like a little bit like, oh, come on. But then by the end I was like, no, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something that is also interesting, I think, about both films is the way that they kind of pit these women against each other.
Yeah.
Like, in Decision to Leave, it's very much like, oh, you have the like boring old wife, and then you have like the cool hot girl that's like eating ice cream every night and killing people. Ooh. And then Open Hearts, it's like, okay, you've got the middle-aged wife at home who you've built a family with, or the hot young like 25-year-old, and like all the male characters in Open Hearts, they talk about their wives and women of their age in like a really degrading way. They're like, oh, they're ugly, they're boring, they like don't dress well enough, they like don't make an effort in their appearance, blah blah blah. Like, they're kind of, they talk about cheating as though it's something they're entitled to, and they talk about younger women as though like, oh, like if if you're gonna do something, you should just like do it if the opportunity presents itself to you. And in Decision to Leave, it's clearly something that like the other colleagues in the police station notice, that his you know, he's being like kind of swayed by this younger woman, the kind of like stay professional, but there also seems to be this like kind of silent acknowledgement of like, oh, but like she's hot, so you should, you know. I think it's interesting that these like kind of middle-aged or like the women that are their partners, they're the people that are they're the ones that are the victims of this. And the way that they like the way they put them against each other, I think is interesting.
It's interesting, for sure.
Especially in Open Hearts, when you see his daughter's reaction to it, his teenage daughter, because Niles has like a 17-year-old daughter. She's clearly like struggling at school, you know, she went through a breakup of her own, and there's a really uncomfortable scene where Niles' daughter confronts Niles about the fact that he's having this affair, and she's like, oh, she's only a few years older than me, like, you want to fuck your daughter, you know, kind of vibe. And it's a really, really cutting moment where it's kind of highlighting the huge cognitive dissonance that this guy has in going for this younger woman, and what he determines as being acceptable behavior and what isn't, and the way he kind of like forces himself to turn a blind eye to like the glaring issues that are in front of him, and his teenage daughter is the one that kind of points it all out and exposes it. And,
I mean, for it to be two movies about kind of like infidelity as well as infatuation, it's interesting that it makes sense. Both films are about what is socially acceptable when it comes to these relationships and what is not. You know? And I think it's very, very interesting. I'm not the biggest fan of Dogma movies.
Oh, okay.
Personally, it's just not for me.
Interesting.
But I think you kind of like it.
I do. I really like it.
Yeah. So with a couple minutes, I'm gonna put you on the spot. No. I just like, I'm approaching this with an open mind, with an open heart. You could say.
So to speak. Yeah.
And I would just like to hear a little bit about why you like Dogma movies. Personally, to me, like this, in case the viewer at home doesn't know, Dogma movies are like committed to realism. The whole filmmaking style is realistic lights, for example, realistic acting, and it's all supposed to refer to reality. And in my opinion, that like that undercuts the power of film to be something like heightened reality, right? Like something beyond what our daily lives are like. To me, it's like the equivalent of saying like, I'm gonna cook, but I'm not gonna use any oil or butter. To be like, okay, like you could, and some stuff will taste nice, but it's like you're hindering yourself for no real gain.
Interesting.
That's my perspective on it. But as I said, I'm approaching this with an open mind, so I want to know what you think about it.
Wow. Well, I think it's interesting that you see it as a hindrance, because I see it as something that like enhances the immersiveness and authenticity of the story. I do just find it so captivating because it's so like inescapable. You feel like you're really in that space, and I think it's particularly good for these like really heightened emotional stories where you're so kind of trapped by the characters' situation, and what's happening to them. And in something like Open Hearts, it just feels so rough and raw, and like everything's so exposed. And I think it works well with a film like that, because it's about these people that are going out with their hearts on their sleeves, and they're so desperate for this love and this intimacy that they can't quite have, and people that are just so vulnerable, you know, like his wife, and the absolute, you know, the pain of that scene where he's saying like, I'm gonna leave you, and she's like, but why? I love you, you know. And it's just so devastating. It's just like right up close on this little like handheld camera, like you can't escape it. And I think I really like that feeling, and I think but I don't think it would work with any kind of film. It only works with films where you're getting to something that's really like just right beneath the surface, and something really uncomfortable, and something that's really something that you don't want to see. It works because you're just so up in it, and you're so forced to be close to that pain. And I love it. I really love it. And I do think I just admire that there are some stories, and it's like, it doesn't matter how you share it, it's just about sharing it. And there are some people that find ways to work with the the limitations of the film industry, and
I see.
It's so unfair that there are only some people that are allowed to share and make films.
Yeah.
And I think I love that the Dogma movement is like, no, we can all do this. Like, if you've got something to say, you can.
In terms of like the political aspect of real life, the real life politics of filmmaking, I'm all for it. I'm like, make your movie, bro. Like, make it happen. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's interesting. How you say that it's more like as you said, not a hindrance, but something that facilitates you entering this emotional space in which the characters are in, and I see that. I mean, as you say, also like that refers to the movies that we make. Like I feel like your movies are very referential to real life, and my movies exist on planet fucking I don't know, man. I'm pretty sure I'm an alien at some point. So it does make sense to me. I hear that. And in terms of like these two movies, in that way, they could not be more different, right?
Yeah.
Open Hearts is about real life and real people, and Decision to Leave is basically a 3-hour dream sequence. It's just surreal to the max.
Yeah, because Decision to Leave is people trying to escape their reality through this infatuation.
100%.
But Open Hearts, it's like, they're stuck in reality and they cannot escape the circumstances of their lives, and it's like suffocating.
Yeah.
I
mean, Fair enough.
I can see both.
So for now, the Dogma movement survives.
Yeah.
For now.
Yeah. It's gonna stick around a little longer.